Hey guys, Levy Freeman here again. Today we're playing some more Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich mod. And today I think we're going to go and play the lovely nation here of Brazil. And I said previously after I did Paraguay that I was going to try and do every country in South America. So we'll go with Brazil. I haven't played like a whole lot of Brazil. Like I played I think one game recently. And by recently like in like the past like year or so or something like that is Brazil. I didn't get very far in the campaign. So I guess like the thing to know about Brazil is that Brazil, I always kind of viewed them, and like when I started playing, one of the first countries I played on was La Plata, which is like thick Argentina, which had Paraguay and Uruguay already like absorbed into it. And when you played as La Plata, you killed Chile first and put down their syndicalism threat, and then you went and you killed Brazil. The same with like if you play Brazil or say Bolivia, and you got like Bolivia over here, they have claims on like Brazilian land. And Chile can be a little bit scary if they're in the International, but really like you get that war against Chile when you join in with Argentina first. And Paraguay is kind of tiny, but like the demand acre over here is like the claim that you get that's like kind of like your end game. Like I said, you can usually get Chaco back, when you backstab them when they join the war against Argentina really early on, but. So you have that against Brazil if you want to play as like Nat Pops and like in Peru. Peru's gonna have like their usual big one over here is also against Brazil for same claim to form the Confederation. And I think like look at these lands over here. I think like other people have like claims on some of this stuff. Bolivia's got claims on that and that. So like as like Peru or Bolivia, like you form the Confederation, like Brazil's kind of like your final boss, and like as Argentina, Brazil is kind of like your final boss, and that's like kind of like always how I view them in South America is like Brazil is like the final boss of South America. When you're playing your campaign, Brazil is usually like they're usually not the aggressor, they're usually the person being aggressed on, and they're like big and scary. They got lots of manpower and industry compared to some of these other countries. So. I don't know, and like the problem you get with Brazil is because they're like kind of in that position is it can be a pretty dull campaign if like for example Argentina Manuel Carlos wins and then he gets like ousted by the GOU coup or whatever it is, so he can't actually do this, like the GOU keeps him in check, or he just won't complete his coup properly, so he doesn't go to war against you. And if he won, then you also don't have a border with the International. So I guess one of the conditions for you to join the Reich's Pact is to have a border with the FOP or whatnot over here. It's like there's a threat of syndicalism in South America. And so if Carlos wipes that out and then gets cooped by his army staff, or he can't do his expansionism retreat, then you're just kind of like dead in the water. You can't really like join a faction or anything like that. So you don't really have anything to do except manually justify on people. And if in the odd event that the Bolivians could go for this, if they form the Peru-Bolivian Confederation, but really you're probably going to squish them. They're not that. I don't think you'd have a problem killing Peru-Bolivian Confederation as Brazil, to be honest, like at all. And I don't think again, and if the Chileans won that war and this you have the border with syndicalism, then you can join the Reich's Pact. And if Germany won't let you in, then I think you can ask the Entente to join. I think that's how that works. But if you don't get like If you don't get like the good outcomes of some of these wars, good quote unquote, right? But if you don't get like an exciting outcome in one of these wars, or like this war over here in particular, then your Brazil game is like a little bit slow and pointless. I found anyways, right? The other thing you could do is like you could I think the Empire of Brazil. I know they used to be able to join the Entente. I'm not sure if they can anymore. Like if Portugal was a member, they were like buddies with Portugal. If you invite your empire back, you could join the Entente. And I think they also have claims on Middle Africa if you go for Napop Brazil. But Napop Brazil is kind of like the meme that I think probably everyone does. Like I prefer not to do that. But we'll have to see where we stand to see which way we want to go. And like if it looks like Manuel Carlos wins over here, then maybe I join the International and go Union of Brazil. I don't know if I'll know that by the time we have to do our election decisions. And then joining the International isn't really all that spicy right now anyways, because like Communist France and Russia usually like wipe out the Germans pretty easily without you having to do anything. Like Germany loses without player intervention like almost every single time I found. Like I don't think I've had a game where Germany's won, in a while, or I haven't been playing on their team. So that's that. So we'll see where we're going to go with Brazil. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. We're going to watch how things go, and I'll try and pick something so that we can actually have like a game. Of course, like once Germany falls, you can manually justify on Argentina. Argentina, I think, can join the Reich's Pact as well. So you could try and backstab the Reich's Pact and like be a little bit opportunistic over here. You could try and invade the French or something like that. But then it's like all just manual justifications on stuff, and you can become like King of South America, or But there's not a whole like that doesn't really have anything to do with like the political or the story or anything like that, right? It's just like you're just justifying on people and taking them over them because you can. So that's I guess that's where you're at with Brazil. It's like we got this guy over here, Otavio Mangabira, and he gives us some stability but negative war support. Our war support's like quite shit. And we got some natty spirits over here. We got election year tensions, gonna cost some political power. I guess we have an election coming up in October. We have extreme decentralization. So Brazil, I suppose, is like a loosely federated collection of like states that used to be independent or something like that. So lots of autonomy, and that's hurting your stability and your political power gain. Wake of the wars. I guess it was a pretty messy civil war. It says over here between Sao Paulo and somewhere else. Rio, does it say? And so they had like a civil war. And people aren't too happy to go into war again. So we have like this whole wake of the war thing over here. And then divided military. So it says your ragtag group of 26 state militias. So like each like I guess autonomous area had like their own little militia or whatnot. And you're not very centralized. So pretty punishing negative 20% organization. And this is like going to hurt your justify war goal time. So like you get saddled with a bunch of negative spirits. And it's kind of like... because Brazil is, like I said, kind of like the final boss of South America, it's like, I guess they want to stop you from just killing everyone before they can do anything. So you're held back a little bit, and then you're supposed to, I guess, clear this in time to fight the Argentinians or something like that. Kind of like how Germany is for like the Internationale, I suppose, right, where you're hit by Black Monday and their spirits. Kind of similar position. So laws, you're on volunteer only, you're on export focus, and you're on toaster, so pretty standard. Your ruling party is social conservatives at 33%. So like that's a little bit low. You got like a pretty even split. You got some Nat Pops, and you got like a couple other the Democratic factions that have got some popularity. Elections in October, and you get these guys over here. This guy's plus political power, decent amount. Political power gain and trade deal opinion factor, civilian factory and infrastructure extraction speed. Now this guy has political power in negative division organization. It's like between these two, it's like you're taking a pretty big hit for division organization. But I imagine like your government's probably going to change after this election anyway. It's like these guys will get flipped out for something else. So natty focus tree. So you got this over here as your political, and this also is tied into your economics. You can see over here. I think this is how you get rid of some of these negative national spirits on this tree over here. This gets rid of Wake of the War, and I think the other one is Extreme Decentralization. The other one that's on here. These trees clear, I think. Yeah, this removes national spirit, extreme decentralization. And I think some of them, like I wasn't able to find, in like some of these trees over here, like where you get rid of one or the other. And the suck dam, if you go suck dam, you have the option to take this tree and this tree, and you get quite a bit of like there's like they're pretty different in what you get, but some of them have like a lot of factories, some of them have factory output or production efficiency cap. Like I think you get different stuff depending on which government you decide to go with. I'm not sure if it's like PSA or whatnot, you can flip flop between the two. And this one over here, like you go into inflation, but you're going to get a ton of factories coming down this path. There's another 2 over here, and some infrastructure, 2 and some infrastructure, and another 2 factories over here. It's like, and you get 2 just to get started with over here. Then you're going to get that negative national spirit for inflation, which is pretty rough. But I mean, like that might be worth it early game, but you have to either have the liberals or the suck dams to get this way. There are also some hidden trees I'm aware of. Like I know there is the Empire of Brazil that exists. There's Getúlio Vargas's new state that exists, where becomes basically like your dictator. He's Pat Ott. The Napop one is the Empire of Brazil, and you invite like the king back, and you're like integralist. You're in the organic gang, and you can also go as I'm not sure what brands of syndicalism they get, like how much of they are as like filthy commies versus anarchists, but there is a socialist Union of Britain or Union of Brazil as well that you can get. It's like there is some hidden content for this country. But Brazil has also like a really kind of unique national focus tree in that like this is like a pretty big mixed bag of stuff that you get. Like military and your research slots and some factories like kind of thrown in here and some resources at the end, and like you can't do this until after your elections. Like this is like the start of your game. It's probably this like combined army and economic tree. So you have that, and then over here, like you have a pretty good air doctrine, air experience, and then you get very quickly researches. So if you want to play air Brazil, and the Entente's not that strong, you could go to war with the Entente, you could feasibly kill them. But you're right close to the West Indies Union, and the West Indies Union has a whole lot of aluminum that you can have access to. And of course, as Brazil, you have a lot of rubber, and you can get even more rubber from your national focus tree. Air Brazil is like certainly a viable option. If you come down over here like right off the bat, you get your 200% research bonuses for fighters, and you can get two bonuses for attack bombers, or you can get the one for CAS. I'd probably go attack bombers. So like I find that'd be like a pretty useful plane in comparison to CAS is best at CAS, but attack bombers have like a pretty sick range. So if you have air-based capacity problems, then you can have your attack bombers farther out, and they can also do like strategic bombing, and especially overseas, they have good mission efficiency because of their range. But basically, like so that's like extremely powerful. You have the resources for it, or you can get the resources for it, and you get your research bonuses like right quick. So there's that, and then also like the naval spirits or the naval tree for Brazil is also not too bad. Like you get the Navy experience over here. And like right away, you can start getting yourself some dockyards. And like the reason why you might want to consider some of this stuff as like your opening focuses is that like to start over here, like your industry bonuses are like in a really bad place, right? Like you do not want to be doing this as your first focus because you're gonna get this, and this, and this is already going to take you into basically like 1937. When you're clicking this button anyways, usually this is like bam, 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 you just do all that. So the 100% research focus, usually you'd want to save until you can rush this tech over here to get the most use out of it. Or you'd use it to get like some construction. I guess probably that'd be the best use if you took that first to get construction and rush, even then, because this is kind of the same thing, 160, and then you get this one like almost right after you can get, and you want to save your bonus for this. So right as your first focus, 100% bonus for industry is like a little bit of a waste. Like you're not going to get that much value out of that research bonus probably. It's going to be difficult to line it up so that you rush something useful. So like that's like a bit of a bummer. But I mean you do get another bonus down here for industry, and like another one over here for industry. It's like it is a bit of a waste, but you're going to get a lot of bonuses. And depending on which way you pick over here, I think there are some more ones available. Like on this tree over here. Some of these I think flip. Like how you deal with Black Monday, and Brazil is a Black Monday country. And I think I remember some of these focuses change what they do, so that instead of doing stuff, they'll clear Black Monday debuffs. But you have potentially a lot of bonuses for industry. But it does feel bad to take that one so early. And then you come down over here, 100% bonus for infantry weapons. And again, this is like... You're probably not going to be able to rush your 1939 gun and get production efficiency earlier with that. It's just too fast for that. It's like that's like another bonus. It's like not going to be very high value. You'd rather save that. And over here, 200% for radio. I mean that's fine. You're going to get radio anyways, and radio is like you can get at the start of the game. Pretty much, you're going to have like a research bonus for that's never going to be that high value. So like, but whatever. You're going to get that, and it is what it is. Logistics Battalion, again, this is like 200%. You probably want to save that to like, that's a considerable buff too. And logistics is like a pretty good company, especially if you're going to be fighting in low supply zones. Like, You might want to do that. You probably want to skip a tier with that, but again, because you get it so early, it's unlikely to be. You're not going to go for like the high value one. You'd want is to like pick this up right before Well Creek 2 starts, right? But you're probably not going to get that because when you get that, you probably won't even have Logistics 1 researched yet at that point. So it's like a bit of a waste. It's like that's a bit low value, and then it's like that's like a bit odd, right? Like so instead of doing that and picking these as your first few focuses, what you could do is like go for air or go for Navy and get stuff like dockyards earlier is going to be good. Navy experience, so you can have a decent variant or refit or something like that. That's going to be good. And then research for Doctrine, that's always going to be good. Those are usually pretty long researches, so the more you get, the better. It's like something like this or opening up like this could be pretty strong if you want to go for those routes. And Brazil starts off with a decent Navy as well too, which you'll see in a bit. But otherwise, like if you want to go for this research slot over here, you can get a research slot pretty quickly with a bunch of military factories. I think this is kind of like a bit of a trap, though. You don't usually want to have like all these military factories coming up right at the start of the game unless you're going to war at the start of the game, because like those count against your consumer goods. Like getting 3 extra military factories while you're still on toasters is going to kind of put a dent in the civilian factories you have early game to build stuff. But that's where your research slot is if you want it. Like you're easy to get one. And then over here, you can get the other one you can get is if you go and you take these ones over here. Like I said, these are like going to be a lot less valuable than what you'd expect from what they say on the tin, just because you get them so early and you're not at a break point where it's going to be helpful. But this is how you come down over here. You get 5 army experience, and then you're able to go down either adapt, like work with the state militias, or convert them into the federal army. And this clears divided military right away. This side is going to cost you less. It costs you some army experience, but you're not going to pay 200 political power and 30 stability. And then you'll come down here and you'll eventually remove it. But your other research slot is over here that you could get. And research slots, the earlier you get them, the better they are, obviously. So that's over there. And this is all right over here. Division organization, 25%, planning speed, 10%. If you come down over here and you get the joint exercises, like you do get like a good buff if you come down here. Org 25% is, I think, so you get 5% organization, I think 10% planning speed. Or no, you don't. It's just 5% organization. So you get a small buff if you come down and do it this way, but it takes you a lot longer to do. And there's like a lot of other good stuff in the focuses. Like it's pretty tempting just to take the hit and do this. Like especially if you're doing this early on, where you have time to build your stability back up with like your drift that you get for free. It seems like that might be the better option. You get some stuff sprinkled in here like land doctrine. This is a bonus for signals and recon, and this isn't on a path, so you can take this whenever you want it. So that's much stronger than this. And a bit of army experience. So that's how you clear that. You get your doctrine. In Brazil, you have a choice between mass assault or grand battle plan. You get 2 bonuses for mass assault, but only 1 for grand battle plan. And then you get some army experience, and you get some planning speed. Planning speed is not nearly as good as max planning. You can always just use the staff office plan general ability that everyone has. You can plan real fast. Mass assault. You get the 2 bonuses without having to take the third focus over here. Like you get 2 overall, and then like a little bit of experience in this like kind of questionable use planning buff. Like I probably wouldn't even bother doing 56 days to get this, for being honest. When you come down mass assault, you're going to get some more support, which isn't that great. But it might be. This could get you, because you start off at so low, it might be able to get you to a break point where you can go to partial. So you get that, and then you're going to have 3% recruitable population factor, which is probably not really going to matter, but you're going to get 10% recovery rate. Recovery rate's a good stat to have. It's probably not as strong as just having more organization, but recovering organization is also really good. And then this forager squad's over here, which is also pretty strong. Minus 10% attrition. And attrition, you can lose a lot of equipment to attrition, so minus 10% attrition is always great. minus 20% specifically for heat attrition, and minus 5% supply consumption. And if you go mass assault, one of the paths you can pick is either D battle, and that's probably what I would go for as Brazil. And these don't give you like as great buffs as the other trees, but you get recovery rate, you get organization, you get like some breakthrough, like you get something. But your big draw from coming down over here is you're gonna have minus 10% supply consumption, and then another minus 10% supply consumption. So you're gonna have negative 25% supply consumption just from your national spirits and your doctrine when you're finished. And you also get logistics companies over here you can get, and this is going to give you minus 40% supply consumption. So like now you're sitting at like minus 65%, and then you get like a logistics with field marshal. And that's going to cut you down for like another 15%. So it's like your supply use is going to be real low if you do that. It's like that's something you could do, and you get the boost for logistics companies as well. Like if you decide you want to delay coming down here and do that, you could use that to rush. Like maybe at Well Creek 2 you have negative 30%. And that can help, especially for things like tanks when the AI tends to supply choke you. I mean that can be all right. So there's that, and then over here, like I said, you have your military industrial tree. Industrial research bonuses, that's great, and military factory is in a research slot. So this is like a pretty powerful tree. Like if you pick this up after you've got your civilian industry in place, you can use both of these research bonuses to rush. This is like a pretty strong tree. But it's not really a tree I would be super excited about taking early for like the reasons I said before. Then you come down this way, you get an extra bonus for guns, which is also probably a bit too early to be all that useful. And you have like 50% for motorized or armor, 100% for rocket artillery and motorized, 100% for armor, 100% for armor, and you get 100% for artillery, some anti-tank, and some rocketry. This is like a pretty nice stack of bonuses for mech and armor. So if you don't mind tossing this infantry weapons buff away, you can get some of these pretty early too. You go for like a tank press or something like that. That's also something viable that you could go and do. So like you have lots of options with this tree, but I just think like the positioning of some of this stuff is like a little bit fugly. I would rather not have that. I'd rather have like a political power or something like that, or like maybe like some army experience even, than a research bonus that's not going to get me all that much. And then like this over here too, like there's like some pretty nice stuff in here. I think it's a little bit whacked to hide how you deal with Black Monday, but it's fine. So that's like the national focus tree. Yeah, I think this is all just research buffs. You get trade convoy production. Yeah, it's like nothing really of note, but you do get your dockyards over here that you could do real fast. And like I said, something like this, pop, 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 and then use this to rush, and then you clear your divided focus. That could be a decent opener. So you have lots of options. I think probably what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go rush my research slot. I like do these focuses, do the Federal Army, get that out of the way, and just try and come down here for this research slot, and then maybe go for like tanks or something. And then I'll just like whatever. Like if these aren't going to be that high value, that's fine. No big deal. That's national focus tree decisions. We just have like the usual stuff. Intelligence agency, don't have one. 3 research slots. Technology. So we have basic guns, and that's it for infantry. This is really bad. You want to get rid of that right away. Support companies, we have engineers, and that's it. We have Well Creek era tanks, no heavy, no light. Basic artillery, no land doctrine. Ship designs. So ship designs, like you have, it looks like we got the 1936 destroyers and cruisers. We have the revived armor cruiser and the armor upgrade. And we do get the improved light gunnery. So that's pretty good. We don't have any capital gunnery at all, though. And we have no capital ships research to even stick those guns on. And we have, it looks like, up-to-date submarine stuff. And we have mines. And we do have transport ships. Like, you can do naval invasions as Brazil. So you get that. You don't have that many dockyards to begin with anyways. Only one dockyard, unless you went and did those focuses. So you'd probably be making light ships. You probably wouldn't be making new capitals anyways. So it is nice that you get this over here, so you can make yourself like a pretty nice cruiser or something like that, or destroyer variant if you wanted to use for like a fighting ship. Stop doing that. Naval doctrine, no naval doctrine, and you do have the choice. This is a fleet and being or trade interdiction for your focus tree. Air, you start off, and like Brazil, like I said, it's probably like a pretty good air country. You have modern close air support, naval bomber, no heavy planes at all, but that's fine. You could do attack bombers and like you come down over here and then use your research bonuses for this stuff. Or you get the one bonus for CAS. You could rush CAS 2, pick up fighter, and then rush fighter 2. So you get decent planes pretty quickly from the focus tree research boosts, which are quite nicely placed for you. Air doctrine, you don't have one in the focus tree. I think it's just like whatever air doctrine you want. Yeah, doesn't make you pick. No engineering and no industry. So diplomacy, we are democratic, so we probably have like a bunch of people who like us, a bunch of people who don't. Diplomacy. I want to see my diplomacy menu. Come on. Screwed that up. You never figure out how to get back on that stupid menu. I think I have to do this. Maybe not. Well, there's not really a whole lot to say about diplomacy, anyways. Like, I think we are guaranteeing the independence of Uruguay. But aside from that, I think we just have like people who like us, people who don't like us, based off. And now it goes back to its normal screen. Okay, sure, whatever. We have some people who like us, some people who don't, based off our ideology. Trade, so our reserve situation. We have only like a token amount of steel, pretty decent pile of rubber, and like a token amount of aluminum. No tungsten, no oil, no chromium, and like for stuff that's like kind of within our reach, if we can get over land. So you can get lots of stuff from the USA. You do have land trades with the USA, and that's supply. I want resource. Yeah, you have lots of aluminum you can pick up over here. You can invade Venezuela for oil. And then I think there's like quite a bit of tungsten in Bolivia, and Bolivia's pretty weak. And a decent amount of tungsten in Argentina. Like a little bit of steel. Like probably you're going to have to import steel from like America or something. But you get access to tungsten, you get rubber, you can get aluminum. So you can get like a lot of stuff as Brazil and South America in general. If you're going to be the top dog and you're willing to throw your weight around to like annex this stuff over here. So you'd probably be like a medium tank faction. Also making planes, not really an issue for you. Construction, we have 8 civilian factories available. I'm just going to go ahead and queue up some civilian factories in Sao Paulo over here. 50%. Or you know what? We'll build one in Rio first, and then we'll build one in Sao Paulo. Or no, we won't do that. We'll build one over here too. I missed some 60s. Yeah, so we'll get our two 60%ers out there. It's fine. Production, so we have like even more. So we have this many military factories over here and 2 on planes, which we're not going to need. So we're going to have 8 factories total. So that's not bad. Probably we're going to want to have some support artillery, so maybe go something like this. That should be fine. Division templates. So we have basic pitch 18 width, 18 width militias, 12 width cav, 12 width garrison unit, and basic armor template 12 width. So nothing really to write home about the templates. These are all pretty stock. You're pretty familiar with them. You've played the game before. Alright, starting army is pretty tiny. I'm just going to change these symbols. Pith helmet looks ridiculous in my opinion. Oh, misclicking a lot today, jeez. What am I doing? And I'll use this for the 12 width. Yeah, so look, that's fine. That's fine. So we have two 18 width infantry units, two 18 width militias, 12 width infantry, and 12 width cavalry. So pretty tiny army. Logistics, we have 22 rifles, surplus, 50 convoys. We do have quite the deficit of steel and tungsten at the moment, so I'm probably not going to trade for that at the moment, but you have it. So Army, we already looked at that. Navy, we have decent Navy actually. You have two armored cruisers, and these are level 2, but these are, I believe, the revived armored cruisers. Yeah, the revived armored cruisers. So these are the ones that, like, they're not really as good as like a proper armored cruiser that's a heavy ship with level 2 armor, but they do have the 7,500 range and they can have torpedoes. So I mean, like, these are like okay ships. Unfortunately, these are level 2 ships over here, those revived armored cruisers. And then these ones over here for like our normal battleships are just like the level 1 armor. And again, like, well, even though this is an armored cruiser, like the level 2 armor makes like a pretty big difference. It's yeah, it's the ACR, I guess, or Get Paid class, is that right? Yeah. Difficult to, like, I'm not sure how to get them. Yeah, okay, so there we go. The Sao Paulo. So, like, the level 2 armor ship is going to have 22.5, or, sorry, maybe this is different because this is a battle cruiser, though. So, Geppy class, armor 25, and armor 22.5, armor 25. Why is that different? I don't know. Like, I think this might be different because these aren't proper armored cruisers, or like the revived armored cruisers, like in between. But they do have the level 2 cruiser armor. And I was looking for, if you look at the cards here. Yeah, it's a 23.4 armor and 22.5 armor. Yeah, I was just clicking on different stuff there. Yeah, so the level 1 armor, it's like it only gives you like a little bit more, but it costs a lot more to make. So like you definitely want to be on the higher tier armor, and just even though these are like a weaker hull, your armor and your statistics that you're gonna have, like you even have more hit points on this revived armor cruiser than this battleship, just because you have the higher level of armor. Is the point I was trying to make. But if you play in South America, you'll notice that Brazil, Argentina, and Chile have like pretty large navies with like decent capital ships compared to like their size. And we'll make a new fleet with our submarines. And if you watch, like, there's a guy on YouTube who'll talk about that, but there was something called the South American Dreadnought race. There's a guy on YouTube called Drakenfell, I think his name is, and he does naval history. And there was, like, prior to World War I, there was like an arms race for these, dreadnoughts and like heavily armored battleships, I guess is what a dreadnought was. That's probably like a completely incorrect naval term, but big ass armored ships, pretty much. And like they're all trying to outdo each other, Chile and Argentina and Brazil. And some of those ships got, requisitioned, like they didn't send them over, they just used them in their own wars. Like when the UK was building stuff for Brazil or something, I think one of their ships they used it in their own war. I think that was a Brazilian ship, might have been someone else's. But so even though they only have like one dockyard, these guys in the past, like before the Well Creek One, would have been buying lots of ships from other places, I guess. So maybe this is like a throwback to that, why they have such large navies. And Air Force, we have pretty token Air Force with 25 interwar fighters. Better than nothing. So that's like your starting spot is Brazil. We'll get some convoys, I guess. Researches, we'll get our machine tools. I'm gonna go for the electromechanical engineering. And I'll save this to like boost our electromechanical engineering so we get it faster, and then I think I'll just pick up the Rifles 1 technology. Yeah. So I guess Brazil's neutrality and the Well Creek kept the country at peace and with stability until the economic collapse following the crisis in its main trade partners after the British Revolution. This period of turmoil came to a head as the balance at play was put in jeopardy after both Sao Paulo and Minas Gerais each launched their own candidates for the 1926 elections. A stage was set for a major crisis, and thus began the Interstate War. also referred to as the Civil War. So I guess this is that war that resulted in this wake of the war national spirit here. Sao Paulo had widespread support in its war against the federal government. Especially important was that of the northern and eastern state governors led by João Pessoa and the Rio Grande do Sul state, whose historical borderland status meant it possessed disproportionately strong military. This support, coupled with its manufacturing and monetary advantages and the mutiny of the Federal Army, resulted in the war ending in a victory for the rebels, and Fernando de Mello resigning in favor of Borges de Medeiros, who briefly ruled over the Republic and transitioned it into the current constitution. Ever since, the Republic has transformed in many ways, especially economically, and has prospered in many ways as 2 presidents in a row were democratically elected. However, as 1936 elections approach, political radicalism rises as syndicalists, anarchists, and integralists continue to engage in street fights and rhetoric from politicians becomes more divisive and aggressive. Order and progress have a price. Okay. So where is that? There's Rio Grande do Sul. Sao Paulo, there's Minas Gerais. It was East Campo Grande. So I guess it was like these guys over there that were fighting. Father Cicero passes away. This morning, Father Cicero Romão Batista died peacefully during his sleep at the old age of 92. The local leader, revered as a saint by the peasantry of the northeastern states, was seen as a great eminence by the political class in Ceará. Chiara? I don't know how you pronounce that. Acting as a neutral mediating party on disputes between the Corones and the landed oligarchs of the Northeast. A great man. Let's lose some stability. And, I forgot to pick national focus. I almost screwed that up. National focus. Like I said, I think I'm just going to go ahead and rush this Unite the Army. I might try and grab this industry thing a bit later. Like, so pop. And then this over here, is that going to matter? I think if I use this to actually boost tools instead, that would get us 30 days off of this, and that might be able to line us up. What's that? 56, 56, 56. This is like 100 and 150 plus 18, 168 days of national focus. And yeah, so I mean, we'll be able to get it for like the 1937. It's still more valuable than the 1936 boost. Or how long does construction take? 156. Is there a play I can make there to get like construct? You know, it doesn't matter. We're debating whether or not we're going to be able to get to 1937 technology either way. Or well, no, let me think about that. So if I do, this is 161 days here, and I can knock 30 off of that, and that would let us. So we should be able to finish that within 168 days. Yes, we could start this technology, but then we still wouldn't be able to do that because we'd want to start going into our industrial tech, and we'd kind of get cock blocked on that. We still wouldn't be able to rush construction 3 because we'd have to research this before anyways, and we'd have our bonus sucked. But those are like the kind of things you want to think about if you can use a research juggle to make something more valuable. I don't think we're going to be able to in this case. It's just not going to work out. But we'll start with this. So militia are like pretty awful. Let's just work with switching these guys over and upgrade them over. You know what? I don't think I'm going to play with cavalry. I think by the time we're at war, like they're not going to be all that useful. So we'll go with that, and we'll use our guns for that purpose. Carles regime. So this is Manuel Carles, who's just had his Christmas coup in the south. In neighboring Argentina, the past few weeks have been troublesome at best. After coup d'etat during the Christmas days, the radicals led by Manuel Carles have taken control of Argentina, citing incompetence by the authorities to properly deal with what seems to be a syndicalist revolt in the remote regions. Reports coming from Argentina are sketchy and often conflicting. However, it has been almost a month since then, and Brazil needs to have an official stance on the regime in the south. So Manuel Carles is like an expansionist dickhole. Probably is going to try and come for us. So we're going to tell him that he's like, we're going to denounce him. There's Mosley's Totalist Charter event. Edward has been crowned. Happens every game. Alright, so we're going to go get our rifle. Afghan declares war in India. Oh, Black Monday. So I think it was like this stuff over here, if you come down to conservatives, like this gives you like 100% research for industry now. But I think this changes, like these things over here change to Black Monday debuffs. We'll just check to see if that's true. But right now these are industry research bonuses. Austria withdraws from Italy. Oh, there's a League War. And Wu Peifu backs Anqing. That's usually a good choice. They're usually pretty strong. Alright, so after that we could like I wonder if this will convert to like a radar bonus or something like that if we actually researched radio, or we might just lose it. Sometimes that happens. So we could go for a doctrine, or we could go for construction, or we could go for, well, there's like a lot of stuff we need to research. We're pretty behind, and we don't have a research slot yet. Construction probably help us with our industry more, but also like building trucks early, so you can get production efficiency on that is like also usually pretty good if you're gonna play with tanks. Could also boost our tools. And we got the first construction tech, I think. It is a bit unfortunate that you have to research this this rifle. Get the logistics battalion. And like kind of a waste. Black Monday hits Brazil. Construction speed minus 35, production efficiency cap, and factory outputs. Like our economy is going to be hurting pretty bad. Disaster! Brazil faces ruin. No amount of panic would be too much, for the crashing of the German economy cascades into our agriculture and nascent industry like a trade into cattle. There is little we can do other than to watch the disaster unfold as our budget collapses almost overnight. Our currency loses half its value and millions of investments are cancelled and pulled out of the country. We don't even have the funds to pay vital government personnel as the situation stands now. Decades of planning, prosperity, all gone to waste. Isso now e bom. I don't know what that means. Like, it's not good or something. But I don't speak Portuguese, obviously, which is what Brazil speaks. I do know that about Brazil. I don't know too much about Brazil. I just know that they're like kind of okay at soccer, and that's where the band Sepultura is from. Like, that's about it. General strike in Rio. A general strike has been called in Rio de Janeiro by several categories, including tram and railway workers. While adherence to the strike has been limited, the barricades and disturbances have been reported, even if not really close to the city center. The army has been sent to aid local forces in restoring order, and we can only hope the protesters come to their senses and lay down arms. This could be an issue. Okay, so like our economy looks like it's going to be dead for like a while. So usually when that happens, you're better off researching technology, so you have better stuff to build once your economy starts like picking up. Like the stuff you're going to build now is going to, like a military factory right now would be like quite shit with negative 57% output, and like even a civilian factory is like of questionable value with the construction speed. It's still better than the production buff you're going to get. It's like definitely coming down here and getting all these military factories early when you're going to have those debuffs, and you're only building basic guns is like pretty low value. I think this is definitely a trap to rush this research slot. Tetanist Uprising quashed. So I'm not sure who these guys are. The Tenantists. It's not really explained, I don't think. After several days of discontent, the barracks in Porto Alegre have risen in revolt and were severely punished for their treason, a regrettable symptom of the trying times we live in. Minor inconvenience. Well, the minor inconveniences are going to add up. It's like the Pope's dead. That's unfortunate. I mean, we are. I think we're integralist, or like, we're not integralist, but I think Brazil is pretty Catholic. The Portuguese are. Factories closed down. As Black Monday damaged the purchasing power for non-essential goods for most Brazilians, many factories closed down as their goods have no market, and they are forced to face massive losses. A disastrous setback to our plans of developing our industry, and we may take years to properly recover. Oh no, we're going to lose 2 factories. Oh, that sucks. Feels bad. Let's take a look over here. First International Congress. Yeah, okay. So like these are now. This is now a Black Monday Fallout recovery tree. Here's Black Monday again. Recovering from recession. So Black Monday stuff in this other. Yeah, so it looks like that's what happens. Like these things like flip over. So like, if you looked at your national focus tree like I did before you started, like you could be like really confused about how you fix Black Monday because you wouldn't have known your focus has changed. It's like that's like a pretty dick move. Like on like the I think the developer's part to like kind of bait you like that. But I like the Brazil tree. It's interesting. It gives you a lot of options and like some tough choices to make. Like if you wanted to maximize the benefit of these, you could delay them in favor of like a plane rush or some yard rush. But this whole like trickery with like no this actually you were supposed to do this focus do Black Monday even though you checked before and it was an industry industry research buff. Now it's Black Monday focus. Like if you didn't know that and you read the tree beforehand, you could be like real confused. It's like kind of shitty to do that. Pi selected as new pope. Okay. Alright, strike's over. Rio general strike ends in a bloodbath. The general strike in Rio has ended in the worst possible way. The army was brutal and merciless in its approach to the barricades, and several fatalities were reported. Lethal force was used in indiscriminate fashion. Press and the general public demand a position from the government, as do many senators. So we either choose 100 political power or we lose stability. There were some mistakes on both sides. There are good people on both sides. Portuguese Colonial Fair. The Kingdom of Portugal has opened a colonial fair in Rio de Janeiro to celebrate the bonds between Brazil and Portugal. While some leftists claim that it is a shameless propaganda move by the colonial state, Portuguese officials insist that the exhibition is purely scientific in nature and seeks to educate the people on Portugal's mission to civilize the Dark Continent by comparing its colonies to those under German rule with great frequency. Said frequent comparisons have drawn the ire of the German ambassador to Brazil as he claims they are slanderous claims on Governor Göring's upstanding character. Regardless of political controversies, the many trinkets, objects, and even African kings brought are bound to bring people in large numbers to see the fair's many curiosities. Grand. Oh, there you go. So on King, getting gangbanged again. See if your boy Chen. If your boy Chen can pull it out. You got Wang over here. And Zhang Tianran. Alright, so we got the logistics battalions. And I guess now we do a military equipment effort. Return of the coffee fires. Just like in the past decade, our coffee piles up with nobody to buy it. The solution found by state governments is to burn the surplus of the harvest in large fires to keep the prices from utterly and completely collapsing again. This is certainly an extreme measure, but Black Monday's disastrous impact is far from over. Dark times are ahead. Good night, my political power. Gemareas Rosa publishes Magma. Guimarães Rosa, like most Brazilians, has been affected by the economic issues of the time and has found himself caving to the pressure to publish a book he never had any intention to. Well lauded and well known in literary circles, the Magma collection of poems has been something of a mystery until this release, and it's expected to sell well for a book of that type. I've never even heard of him, to be frank. That's true, I have never heard of that guy before. So we have the option of concentrated or dispersed industry. We don't have, I don't know, we got like a bit of production efficiency we might be able to retain with this, but I mean, that's not going to be done by the time our gun's done. Tanks. Like, are we going to have a bunch of military factories before we finish our tank rush? Like, from here to here? Maybe. I want dispersed or concentrated here. I think I'm just gonna go concentrated. It's like kind of like the safe choice. Like if you don't know if you're gonna have, if you don't know what your economy is gonna be like, it's difficult to plan a conversion strat. I'll do concentrated industry. If you're not doing flips for retention, like upgrading a line to a newer model to get that retention, or you're not doing conversion, then like they're both actually the same for about a year, in which case concentrated pulls ahead after. So if you're not really sure, like you're usually okay with concentrated. Manuel Bandeira publishes Estrela de Manha. Renowned poet Manuel Bandeira has published yet another book, Estrela de Manha, which is also bound to be acclaimed by the public. Known for his modernist and innovative style, the author has frequently gone against the current of well-organized poetry, especially in recent years. Having arrived back in Brazil after years in Europe at the outbreak of the Weltkrieg, his work gradually became more heterodox in each book, with subjects of poems often mixing comedic, deathly, or even vulgar tones. And this drift towards modernism is very well shown in his most recent book. While praise is almost universal in more modern literary circles, some intellectuals, like Plinio Salgado, slam the poet as cheap and overly cynical. Grand. I guess the author over here of this event box didn't think he was cheap and overly cynical. Collapse of United Baltic Duchy. Dang. United Baltic Duchy. Whew. Now they're Estonia and Latvia. That's not looking good for our boy Wilhelm. Yeah, so I think it's probably not worth it to rush this. We do have like an infantry bonus coming up, so like you could like hard rush this and try to go to 1939 gun. Like that would be an option you could do, and then you have the bonus to do it. But you do get like another bonus that you're gonna have to get over here if you want to go for tanks, anyways. So I don't know. I mean, I think I'm gonna pass on that. I think I'm gonna go for the. I'm going to go over trucks. Just get this one out of the way. Brazil does have bonuses for mechs. Like you could try and do like a... You could hard research this, then use your 50 and your 100 over here. Or you could just use the 50 for early mech. So you could go for the mechanized technology as Brazil if you wanted to. And like Amtraks are pretty good. Like Amtrak units, especially I think in South America, you don't have any movement penalties at all, and you can get across rivers and do naval invasions, and you have a decent navy. So like maybe a mechanized template with Amtraks might be a strong option as Brazil. And of course, if you don't need the extra speed of the Amtraks to put in your tank division, you can just go 50% to mech, 100% to Amtrak 1. Like you could do that. I don't know. Do we want to do that? We could. What do we have for our manufacturers? We have hardness and max speed. That's not a bad one to have. Of course, reliability is great to have on that too, because you can't make variants of mech. Tetanist Uprising squashed. More barracks have risen up in revolt, this time in Salvador. The local garrison demanded fairer prices and a better democracy, but said vague demands were silenced by loyalists who stormed their barricaded living quarters. A minor inconvenience. Those minor inconveniences add up. Oh yeah, I want to flip this over immediately. Getulio Vargas courts state leaders. Getulio Vargas, state president of Rio Grande do Sul and former vice president in the JP government, has met with several important figures from other states, especially those from the Northeast, that backed him in his term. He seems to be laying the groundwork for a candidacy in the presidency, and his plans for a more active government which can energetically act against crisis situations to find listeners in the meetings. A Republican candidate seems to be here. Oh, good for Vargas. Anarchist Uprising. In Rio, consequences of the Battle of Sao Paulo were felt this week as an anarchist uprising occurred in the northern areas of the federal district. While few in number, having an actively lawless area so near the capital could be dangerous unless their officers are taking immediate action. Send in the boys in blue. Time for another massacre. Our construction speed's kind of shit. I don't know. Like, our factory output is also like... We're making like okay guns now. I think I'll trade for the steel. You can get steel from, I don't know. Who's exporting steel? The United States. It's fine. So after that, we'll go for our standardized equipment. ED names Mangabeira as their candidate. Is that this guy over here? Maybe it's like his brother or something. The Democratic left is very much a broad front formed by the people that range from former Republicans, frustrated with the lack of aid to the common people, to syndicalists who seek to gain power via democratic methods. This Big Ten organization of the party made choosing a presidential candidate difficult, even if it wasn't a particularly contentious process. João Mangabeira was probably more well known for being the left-wing brother of President Mangabeira than his own career. I guess that's this guy over here. So he is his brother, actually. But this recognition may very well be his greatest asset in what is probably going to be a complicated electoral process. The nomination is just the beginning of his journey, for he needs to properly build a left front with several factions, such as with unions and the FAB. Consensus choice. So I think February 36th or 37 that the FOP debacle happens. So it's January, so it's like one more year before this goes down. Or half a year. Oh, so Manuel Carlos has assumed control of Argentina. He did not get countercouped, so I mean that's something. Wow, look at all these event pop-ups we got here. So Vargas is a Republican candidate. Getulio Vargas' career seems to have always been heading towards this, from his early positions in Rio Grande do Sul to a successful state presidency in the times of turmoil to being vice president of the most popular head of state in the Brazilian history. His rise has been very fast for the traditionally slow climb politics in Brazil entails. He has announced his intentions to run for president officially earlier today in Porto Alegre to a roaring crowd of citizens who wish for the republic to finally achieve stability and are tired of opportunists attempting to deceive them. Among his promised goals is a planned industrialization program, better salaries for workers, and bring Brazil to the modern age. A popular and safe choice. This guy sounds kind of like Donald Trump. AIB's presidential candidates announced. The Brazilian integralist movement, in its eclectic in nature, but in recent years has settled itself as monarchist, Lusitanian-inspired party that defends Catholic values and with great participation from the poor, especially from the Afro-Brazilians. Said participation and commitment to racial equality is represented by their former candidate to the presidency and current VP nominee, Arlindo Veiga dos Santos, a deeply monarchistic intellectual who denounces the leaders of the republic as former slave lords, who just mask themselves under new guises. However, the presidency candidate, Gustavo Dot Barroso, is far more hostile and has not been shy in demonstrating his anti-Semitism, claiming the capitalist classes of Brazil are puppets of the elders of Zion. The men have fundamentally different visions in many areas, but they agree on the basic integralist principles, and more importantly, on that the republic is a rotten carcass that only serves the few and the powerful. Two very different men under one cause. So you get like a good guy integralist snap pops, I guess. Mangabeira courts the CGT. The Confederação Geral de Trabalho, or CGT, I guess it's like General Workers Confederacy or something, I don't know, some workers movement, has gained notoriety in the past decade for organizing strikes, including being a major part of the May strikes earlier this year. Perhaps the most well-organized and influential leftist organization in the country, it's natural that João Mangabeira and his allies in the left front have spared little time bringing them under the ED umbrella. While many in the CGT have their reservations on working with someone who is clearly less radical than themselves, the ideas of a peaceful transition to a workers' government has grown in some circles, especially after the violent repression of several strikes recently. The left organizes itself. PL announces Julio Prestes as candidate. The Liberal Party is, much like the Republicans, more a confederacy of local parties rather than an organization with single goals and ideals. The most influential Liberal leaders, the positivist leadership from Sao Paulo and Rio Grande do Sul, have met today and decided for Julio Prestes to be their nominee for the presidency, something of a consensus candidate among the homogenous party lines. While the odds may not look particularly good for a Liberal victory at first glance, the controversial opinions of the other candidates may drift the more centrist electorate towards their coalition. A natural choice. Mangabeira meets with FAB leaders. While the meeting of the Democratic left leader and the Anarchist Federation was mostly fruitless when it came to formal support, it's clear that the man made some influential friends in that section of the left wing. The FAB is, unsurprisingly for an anarchist organization, very decentralized, and the meeting was mostly on topics of workers' rights and payments. Rather than formal coalition talks, however, it is safe to assume that most leftists in Brazil are indeed under the ED's tent, even if not all are formally or publicly doing so. Anarchists in the government coalition? As if. There's anarchists everywhere. Poland elects a king. So we get our 100% bonus here, and it was going to apply to one of these things, which is like, again, a bit of a waste. Or we could save it for industry tech. Industry and construction are probably of like equal importance. I mean, probably construction we'll just get now. So we'll get this, we'll get Unite the Army, we'll do this, we'll just like get this out of the way. We'll take the hit early so we can get back up to, with our, like you get the extra weekly stability drift when you're negative. Tetanist Uprising quashed. Yet more revolts. Tenentes have launched a revolt in the barracks in Sao Paulo, but were quickly subdued. While the incident barely lasted a day, the affair was covered by the press and shows weakness in our government. A minor inconvenience. Minor inconveniences are piling up. Right, we will try to unite the army, and we'll do Federal Army, Modern Army Corps Organization, and the Military Sciences, and we'll see where that gets us. We might want to do industry, or we might want to go for tanks. Probably do industry first, and we'll have to research some tanks. Or mech. We'll see. Industrial leaders meet with Vargas. Several important industrialist leaders have met with Getúlio Vargas today in Sao Paulo as he negotiates for formal support to his candidacy, claiming only he has a vision to help them. Considering the options are either radicals or liberals who would let them go without any aid, Vargas' words have found ready ears. Difficulty breeds opportunity, Oh, so Shan King is dead. Did that mean An King won? Or is it left KMT? No, it looks like it's definitely going to be An King. It's a thick An King. Major Tetanist Uprising quashed. In Rio, Sao Paulo, and several other cities, what seems to have been a coordinated revolt happened. However, the truth is different, and almost every mutineer had a different vision for Brazil in its future, even if most lean slightly left in Rio itself, shaping public opinion on the uprising to be syndicalist in nature. Regardless of their motives, the revolt quickly collapsed upon itself at the lightest of resistance from loyalists, but its impact shows immense fragility in our government, both at home and abroad. Regrettable. Indeed. Will we ever have political power? Who knows? Like, this is pretty crashing. You're probably going to want to clear that. Like, we'll get a research slot, and then hopefully that'll bring us to election time, and then we can work on clearing that. We'll have to look at the focuses to see what path you want to do. Mangabeira reaffirms moderate stances. Joao Mangabeira, leader of the ED, has met with certain unsavory and socialistic people, as the O Globo newspaper put it. Glassing concerns he is in fact a syndicalist and seeks to destroy democracy in Brazil and raise the workers' republic in its place. Naturally, it is an exaggeration, but the effect of the Red Scare was significant enough for Mangabeira to publicly say that he is in fact not a syndicalist in any way and mention that European syndicalism is not an example to be followed, citing the civil war in Italy as a warning to the consequences of extremism. His words fall flat on those convinced he is a spy sent by London to take over Brazil, a rumor already being spread by integralist pamphleteering. Many remain concerned, however. Damn Union of Britain interfering in our elections. Britain, Britain, Britain. Bologna crisis. Oh. I think they changed that now. It's like unless you set the game rule for Bologna crisis to like actually occur and trigger the war, like they can't, the AI will always avoid it. Casa Grande and Senzala is republished. The masterpiece of modern sociological thought, Casa Grande and Senzala, has been republished today, and what some decry as a politically charged move. Regardless of the contents of the book, remained unchanged. A deep analysis of Brazil's cultural, racial, and social history, breaking myths that some held for decades. The book not only refutes the supposed inferiority of Brazil due to miscegenation, but also lauds how the Brazilian people inherited the best of its many peoples. Indians, Moors, blacks, and Europeans have lived side by side and created a Brazilian race that is among the best on the planet. A masterpiece improved. Wow, I got it. Mixed breed master race in Brazil, I guess, is what they're going for. So it declared war on the Walloon Communal Republic. So I think France isn't allowed to intervene. The rules decided not to have like that's like I thought that was in, one of the recent patches that they did. Is like you can't have an early Wall Creek 2 anymore unless you specifically set a rule to allow it to happen. So it makes for like I guess a more stable experience. Luis Carlos Prestes endorses the ED. Luis Carlos Prestes, a high-profile military officer with known syndicalist tendencies, has publicly announced his support for the ED movement, as he sees it as the only option that will truly defend the workers from tyranny. This move certainly can do more harm than good for the ED, for Prestes is notorious for his links with the Third Internationale. Are syndicalists meddling in our election? Syndicalists in my election? It's more likely than you think. Maybe I'll train some of these guys so they don't become green. I think, so Brazil too, I should mention, has like a lot of pretty good generals. Like you get this guy over here who starts with improv expert, which is, a pretty big money trait to have. If you've watched any of my other videos, we farm in general, this is usually one of the big ones we go for. So you get a guy who has that right off the bat, you don't have to farm it. So that's pretty good. This guy's got engineer, and he's unfortunately also got scavenger already, so that's like a bit of a bummer. But you got a guy that has 4 buster anyways. Combined arms experts. This is a mech and motorized guy you start with right off the bat with Julio Salgado over here. Desert for you have whatever you want. Like this guy could get logistic, or you could promote him and give him logistics wizard right off the bat because he comes with organizer. So unfortunately, I think a lot of your guys have like some of these negative, politically connected, or old guard. Oh, this guy's got like a real cheap promotion cost, -50, -50. Promote him for free. Instant field marshal. He comes with Panzer leader. So you get like a whole bunch of generals that have like decent traits. Like and you have some guys who just like have these cavalry leader, like this guy over here, brilliant strategist. The guys who have nothing, like you could farm them. Like I don't think they have like any really great picks to farm. Like this guy would be good, but unfortunately he's also politically connected, so like that kind of sucks. Reckless isn't probably something you'd look for, but you have like Fortress Buster, you have Improv Expert, you have guys that already have like a terrain trait. You don't have anyone that can get adapted right off the bat, but like you have like a lot of guys that have like a lot of stuff you'd look for without having to farm it. So like that's kind of nice. Improv expert especially is you see a general that starts with that. It's like that's like real nice. So federal elections. So you get to pick here. So you have Suck Dem, Nat Pop, Liberals, or the Conservatives. So like Vargas, this is how you get in the new state. I'm not sure how you go syndicalist. It might be the Social Democrats, probably, I would imagine. How are things looking down here? It's like we're not going to know how this flips out. I'm thinking I probably want either Vargas or the Empire of Brazil. That's like the more interesting paths. I think democracy is generally pretty boring. So Padot or Napop, or we could go Cindy. But I don't know if I want to go syndicalist before you know, I know how this war pans out, because like if syndicalists win down here, and you know France can win without us, it's like what are we even doing as Brazil at that point? You know what, I think I'm gonna go with like Getulio Vargas, and you know we'll see. You'll see how that pays out. I mean the Empire probably is like, if I remember correctly, the Empire can join the Entente and they get claims on like some stuff in Africa that they can do. So like that's probably like the safest pick for like a decent campaign. But I think people like have done that already. Like that's usually the path people would pick when they play Brazil, I would imagine, for like the memes. I'll pick Getulio Vargas. Alright, so we got that. So we could like I guess Mac will save for later. Like I don't think that's I don't think we'll go for that like right now. We gotta start in our doctrines as well. Pick up a mass assault doctrine. Jackie Reed, elected president of the USA. Looks like Siamese had a little bit of a civil war there. Norway joined the Internationale. And East Turkestan has capitulated. It's like that's like the boys we were playing last time, right? It's like over there. It looks like Xinjiang is going to pull ahead. Another Tetanist Uprising quashed. Yet another uprising in the barracks. While their demands were similar in nature to the previous ones, this time we managed to destroy their revolt in a relatively swift and decisive fashion. Minor inconvenience. So you got construction. I might start working my armor technology. Getulio Vargas takes office. Getulio Vargas has been sworn in today as Brazil's president in a grand ceremony in Rio de Janeiro. Our grand republic continues to bring progress and stability to the nation. Viva Brazil. Alright, next focus we do... Oh, did that cancel? My national focus? Okay, I thought we were doing this. That's annoying. Black Monday, Black Monday. And this gets rid of the wake of the war, and we get 2 factories there. So probably we want to come down here, get our 2 factories, do this Black Monday thing, and then like maybe clear it with this one over here. Italian democracy survives, okay. after we get a research slot. That's probably our next researches. I think I'm gonna go for mech tanks maybe. That way, even if like we have powerful units to send for volunteers, even if like this turns out in like a disappointing fashion, we don't have a South America game, or we can't join the Reich's Pact, we'll have like good units to send as volunteers. We can just invade Bolivia or something for the walls, take their tungsten. Yeah, so like the earlier you take that, then it'll trend your stability up, so you can hopefully clear that before the war starts. You don't have to take that organization penalty. And then then we'll get a research slot. And then we'll work on clearing Black Monday, and then we'll go over like for some tank tech maybe. Modern Army Corps organization. A little bit of lag there. Finns have joined the Reich's Pact. I mean that seems to be happening a lot. Pretty usual. The American Civil War. Unfortunately, we are nowhere close to being able to send an attaché, which sucks. We could send volunteers. Like we just have like basic infantry divisions though, so like I don't know. I don't know how worthwhile that would even be. But now we have a 10-0 template at least, because we've been exercising our guys. I guess we'll just get these guys up to train. Like usually I don't think it's worth it to do that, like for the attrition that you take. So you got concentrated industry did. What do we take now? It's going to be useful. I think we'll go with our production efficiency tech. Some of our lines are pretty close. Not that like this is a whole lot of factories that are close, but it's something. Look declared in Serbia. Okay. I don't think I'm going to bother slowing my game down and send volunteers. Like, it's just 2 infantry divisions. It's not going to have that much of an impact. Jungle warfare is like a nice one to get. Not so much if you're not fighting in South America, though. Like, there's not a whole lot of jungles in Europe. Increasing German alignment. As the United States is currently unable to exert any kind of influence on South America, German capital and investors have taken on the opportunity to branch out, especially considering how much harsher their economy was hit by Black Monday than their own. While we cannot say how this will affect our nation or even the public's perception of Germany, on the long term, it seems clear that America's place as our chief foreign partner is lost, possibly permanently. Is this for the best? Who knows? Mass assault. That's always like, do you want to spend these 354 days to like... I just think you just probably always want to be researching your doctrine if you can. Alright, so there's that war. Oh, and Paraguay's joined in, and the Confederation forms. That's interesting. Washington falls already. Who would have thought? So we can either lose political power, which we don't want to do, We can defend. We can support the Feds. We can support the Pacific states. And Washington's already gone. Let's support the Pacific rebels. You know, I think our boy would probably be more. Well, he's an opportunist. It seems like Getúlio Vargas. Let's read our boy's bio if we can. Well, a lot of pop-ups there. Belgrade Pact. Syndicalist revolutionaries in Switzerland. Alright, so this gives us some political power gain and a trade deal opinion factor. He's a tenacious negotiator. Born and raised in the border state of Rio Grande do Sul, Getúlio Vargas always had a knack for politics. Since his earliest forays into state politics, he always was a skilled navigator and, according to some, a shrewd manipulator. Well, he only entered politics in 1913. By the time of the Revolution of 27, he was already state president of his home province, and his diplomatic skill managed to be both prevent intervention from foreigners and to ensure that Rio Grande do Sul sided against federal forces. After the war, Vargas became vice president under João Pessoa and became far more well-known nationwide, taking time to appear in radio and other public addresses as a man looking out for the little guy. Well, he could do so. Since Otávio Mangabeira took office, he spent 4 years articulating an energetic presidential campaign, always professing non-extreme but powerful views on the future of Brazil. Vargas believes that the only way the nation can truly enter the modern era is through extensive campaign of industrialization, modernization, and rearmament, a process that he believes no person or law has any right to impede. For his intention is to always act with Brazil's best intentions first and foremost. I mean, I would say it's probably like his own intentions that he's like acting first and foremost towards. It seems like you're a typical populist dictator, but you know, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Start working on our industry. I too am a fan of industrialization. We could go for this extraction tech. We could go for fuel. We don't want to be behind in fuel probably. We could also grab like some of these. They're like real cheap to get, but like, we don't need those right away. Let's pick off our mech computing upgrade. Austrian Empire declares war on Hungary. Okay. Crisis on the Danube. Dutch do love their elections. How's this looking? It looks like Argentina's getting circled over here. Sweden joined the Reich's Pact. That's I think that's looking pretty bad for Argentina right now. Well, he just killed Paraguay, so maybe that'll change. But these guys are distressingly close to Buenos Aires. Of course, it is better for we'll have a more high energy game if Patagonia wins this war. We'll see if they do or not. No, that's not good for Patagonia. Looks like we're going to lose some guys there. Might get encircled here too. Oh, Peru, Bolivia goes to war against Ecuador. Okay. Do PSI and we will protect our industry. Get our construction speed back to something that's not awful. Trade another divisao to infantry. Infantaria, whatever it is. Okay. Wow, this is pretty nice for the Patagonians. Oh, they've lost it though. Mozambique Bush War. Cool. Machining tools. Do you want to use this to bump? probably. I'll use that to bump our computing tech. I should have got that earlier. Trade at the PSA. Protect our industry, so then this will clear our Black Monday. How bad is that right now? Pretty bad. We'll regulate imports. The Feds collapse, so I mean it's a good thing that we sided with the PSA, I guess. And it looks like, we'll see. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. This looks bad for the Chileans. Lose some divisions there, probably. Alright, so this... Let's pick up our next construction technology. That's like close enough. Like, we'll make sure we keep our army together. Like, I'm pretty sure you can... Brazil is a country that can get a civil war, I think. I'm not sure exactly where that pops up, so I think I'll just maybe have these guys like hang out around Rio for now. Civilian factories will build. Saudi Arabia joins the Cairo Pact. Two cities there. So Black Monday's done. Do we want to come down here and start working on our tank research? We'd have to get mech first. I mean, this is probably fine. Let's what is Wake of the War? How bad is that hitting us? That's political power gain and justify war goal time. Let's clear Wake of the War first with the locomotive. And that'll just, like, the earlier we get rid of that, like, the more political power we'll have. So that seems like a good thing to do. How far is this away? It's like a year for me of tank 1. We'll start researching that. Paul declares on India, huh? Okay, that's cool for them. Well, it's actually looking real bad for Argentina now. Oof. So it looks like we'll have a game against the FOP at least. Be able to join the Reichspact. Mech computing. I'll use this to bump something. So we'll do that, and then we'll go for start getting your tank tech. You know, we might as well take this actually. We'll do that, and then we can get our gun out a little bit faster because we will be getting our next infantry weapons focus. Decisions, like, I don't know. I don't think that matters. With Brazilian small arms. American refugees. The United States have fallen into disarray as a once great nation fell into the same anarchy and horror of civil war that once haunted our own nation. However, the scale and duration of this conflict will very likely dwarf our own. Many civilians are arriving from the war-ravaged North American continent with no idea of when, if ever, they will come back. If you lose some stability, we're going to get construction speed 25%, research speed 10% for like a year. That's a nice little pickup to have. Vargas moves to empower the federal government. Utilizing his immense clout over the vastly Republican-dominated legislative, Vargas now moves to increase the power of the federal government slightly. Not many drastic measures are planned, only a few minor taxation matters. But it almost seems as if Vargas is testing the waters for further more radical legislations. Yes, Vargas will begin consolidating power. We will do the new state. I see. Positive political power now, that's nice. Ecuador predictably lost that war. Now they're much tinier than they used to be. Bit of a bummer for the Ecuadorians, that. Syndicalists break off from the ED. Well expected, the Syndicalist faction, as were called those most loyal to the Internationale and the ED United Front, have abandoned the party after its poor showing on the polls. Its accusations of collaboration with capitalist and industrialist leaderships. After the public split, the ED has rebranded itself and is now known as the Social Democratic Party formally, even if it's still referred to as the ED by the press and public. Splitters! No, there's Kaiserreich War. World tension. Does Wallonia Crisis actually generate any? Doesn't look like it. Vargas secures alliance with industrialists. The president met with several industrialists and businessmen from across the nation at closed doors today at Rio. While few can deduce what was discussed, the timing of the meeting and the high profile of those on attendance leaves no doubt of the importance of the matter to the current government. Natural for a man at this position. Oh, Damocles project. Paraguay. Whew. And Paraguay's getting beat up. He got killed by Argentina, now they're going to get killed by the Internationale. Rough time for them. Alright, there's our infantry equipment. Rashiki Kingdom has capitulated. We get the this thing, we'll switch early. Partido Liberal splits. It seems that the troubles with liberals have no end. After their defeat in the general election, several factions blamed each other for their failure to achieve the presidency even in the wake of a major recession. The biggest opportunity in a decade to take power, perhaps even ever. The failure exacerbated existing ideological rifts, and several important figures of the party, such as Francisco Prestes Maya, have voiced their discontent on a harsh and public fashion. and have created the Liberal Democratic Party as a splinter movement and fully intend to run in the next elections. Liberals splitting like leftists? What has the world come to? Alright, so we go for our armor automotive expertise. And Saudi Arabia capitulates. Oh, there's Balkan War 4. Or that's not even Balkan War 4, that's like Balkan War 5. Oof. That's a messy fight. Canada decides to intervene. Well, it's usually not a good idea for Canada to do that. Like for AI Canada, I'm sure as a player you probably set it up so that like you're not gonna just die. But the CSA usually pushes in Canada pretty badly when they intervene. I've seen last few times, anyways. I mean, who knows? Anything could happen. Oh, socialist coup in Bulgaria. Dirty Cindies. Vargas expands army funding. After a meeting with several officers, Vargas decided to increase army funding for the next year. It seemed like a spontaneous reaction seeing the sorry state of the barracks in Rio, but the law was seemingly passed too quickly for it to truly be a coincidence. To what end? It usually is pretty important to have the army on your side if you're going to be a dictator. Looks like we're going to need that army too to deal with syndicalism on our borders. Go with our mechanization. Fall of Detroit. So Canada actually pushed into Detroit. That's interesting. Oh, they got New England coming in. New England's usually not too weak, so they'll be able to get something there. We shall see. Ooh, we send an attaché. You guys like us a lot, so attaché to you guys. I could have probably upped my economy law there. I don't know. Like, army experience is like pretty important to have. Of course, so is mobilizing your economy. Let's get our mechanized equipment 1 done. I don't know if I want Mech 2 or we can go for Amtrak technology. Like, Amtraks are pretty strong. But unfortunately, they do slow your medium tanks down. They're only speed 7. If I'm right, yeah, max speed 7. Until you get to the next tier, then like 10 kilometers per hour is like just as fast as your medium tanks. Mech 1 will also slow you down, but Mech 2 won't. Chile joins the Internationale. Ooh. Ooh, so now looks like we're gonna have a game in South America. Let me build over here. It's farther away from the front. Not that I intend to be pushed back. Our mech boost. And so let's see Before our tank finishes, we have like 126 days, so we can go and like probably pick up 2 more focuses before we, or I guess 1 more focus before we need that. 50% for industry, 50% for industry. And that might not be awful to get. What are other options? Political power cost and stability. Political power cost and war support. Political power and party popularity. And we need that before we can come down to here. And there are factories down here. 2 factories. Infrastructure, research speed. Political power and industry research bonus. I do want to work like to get rid of the extreme decentralization, which does cost us stuff. I mean, negative 20% stability is a bit rough. So we could work our way towards that. These are only 35 days too. We can even pick up 2 of them before we have to do our next focus, I think. That one's a 42. And I think our tank rush is, what, a 56? 56. 56, and that's 126. We have like about 70 days. 70 days of focus time before we have to pick that focus. Like we could do like maybe even we could do like these 2. Get more political power. Or we could pick up the other thing too is like I'm pretty sure like once you get the new state, this tree changes. Like you won't get the option to even get these. I think I'll go with these plus political power, natty spirits. Moral and Civica. Modernists gather in Sao Paulo again. While modernist circles have met and even had exhibitions of their own, their grand meeting in Sao Paulo today is the beginning of a new era. A whole week dedicated to modern Brazilian art, with all that entails, has begun today, sponsored by Sao Paulo's magnates. While there is remarkable influence of European thought in the works present, they are also distinctively Brazilian in their own way, and mark an important turning point in arts and even culture in our nation. Grand tradition. Japan announcing their ambitions. Oh, World Cup begins. Hey, we're pretty good at soccer, right? So we want to get our first title over here, but Uruguay is apparently also a strong contender. I'm pretty sure Uruguay like always wins this event. I heard that was changed in the patch note, but I've never actually seen anyone other than Uruguay win that. I don't think. There's Italy war. Alright, so now we can join the Reich's Pact, which we might want to do. What are these guys up to? What are the conditions for this? We are at peace, not at war with anyone else who isn't also at war with the Germans. Okay. So we have to clear Black Monday to get that too. But we can do it for 50 political power. I don't think I want to do that right now, but it's an option. We will do an end to interstate banditry. Banditry must go. Yeah, Uruguay wins the World Cup. Of course they do. Damn Uruguayans. Egypt capitulates, so I mean, I guess that's good for the Ottomans, so might be able to help out the Germans And we'll create 2 electric boogaloo. Start going ahead and upgrading our law here. Oh. Let's see, People's Republic of Argentina. And you got the Peru-Bolivian Confederation. 10-year anniversary of the new republic. On this day 10 years ago, the pain of war was replaced by joy and peace. As the new republic rose from the ashes of the conflict and discord, a new era of prosperity began, and we have persevered and endured great challenges. Brazil's future shines brightly. El Salvador goes to war with Nicaragua. Alright, so we have our next gun, which we're going to want to start making. And, yeah, let's go for next industry tech. Alright, there goes interstate banditry. And I think after that, we go for a tank rush. So that should finish at about the same time our tank does. And we are probably going to want to go to war against the Peruvians to take the tungsten that they got. We'll need that for our medium tanks. El Salvador has capitulated. Okay. And we might as well start producing guns, like, with a better efficiency. Trade for it, that's fine. Qing doing their surprise attack on Yan Jishan. Radical anarchists seize power in Argentina. After the socialist victory in the Argentino-Chilean War, the government seemed to be slowly settling down for the Argentinian nation. However, the results of the recent Argentinian Trade Union Congress seem to have not been satisfactory for the Union Sindical Argentina, USA. While the moderates accepted the result, the radicals quickly staged their own takeover, and led by Severino Di Giovanni, were able to beat the government's forces in Buenos Aires. Man, left always eating itself. After marching on the presidential house, they proceeded to take over the Congress, where Severino has now been sworn in as chairman, and the rivaling unions of the USA have been removed from the Congress. Whether this will put an end to the violent political disputes in Argentina, or further inflame tensions with the war-weary populace, remains to be seen. Socialist calls for unity only go so far, it seems.
Eu vou fazer.
Construction. Let's actually go for a refining tech. We can get like a pretty decent army of like mech and tanks we can rush planes to with our air trees, so we're gonna need fuel. Alright, so we got that. We can pick up medium tank number 2. So we can get 8 oil there. Which I think, yeah, let's do that. Let's get 8 oil. And this political power, infrastructure, research speed. Well, I think we might just want to get as much of this stuff before we flip over to the new state. Because you get a different political tree. And the other option, we start getting military factories, but like we don't have our We don't have our tank that we're going to be building yet in the field. Like I'll probably pick those up after close to when it starts to pop out. If you want to keep our current factory, well, we could also get factories for guns too, and that would be okay. Let's just build there. Vargas probes state presidents. Gattulo continues to articulate heavily behind the scenes for some unseen goal. Today he met with several notable state presidents, seemingly to discuss internal policies. However, the goal of the meeting behind closed doors can only be guessed, and the press speculates that further centralizing efforts will be underway shortly. Natural for a man of his position. There's nothing sketchy about this guy at all. Oh, there goes New York. Looks like Ken is not just going to straight up die this time, so that's interesting. I mean, we are getting the doctor research bonuses too, so we can like stay on top of our doctrine tech is also going to be pretty nice. We have options. Alright, so there's that. Let's go for Vargas meets with union leaders. In a somewhat unusual move, Gattulo Vargas has met with several union leaders, including some affiliated to the CGT, and promised to greatly improve their working conditions and public salaries if he's able to. He had little reason to make the speech, much less his promises, considering his position. The stunt has greatly helped his already substantial popularity. To what end? Is there anything else? I mean, this is just like political power and stuff. How much, yeah, I don't know. I would like to get the tank designer. Max speed and I mean, that's actually going to be pretty pointless for us to have. Defense isn't awful. Fighter manufacturer, also not, unfortunately, not a great one. Mech would be good to have. Mech would be good to have. So like maybe we go for the political powers and get our mech company. Honduras capitulates. Zili Feng Tian War. Okay. Vargas meets with general staff. Whatever may be the reason, Vargas' series of meetings have culminated today with top army leaders, and some Navy ones as well. Several hours passed in the closed-doors meeting. The official topic was prepare the nation in case of an attack from hostile forces. Preparing for war against whom? I don't know, maybe the socialists in the south? Fuel storage, let's pick up refining. Yourself some church backing. Industrial company might also be a good pick too. And there's another 150 political power over here, so we can maybe just go for that. After I think our 75 will get us one company, and then our next focus can get us the one after that. I want to start building military factories too. Military factories, so we can go with that. No, no more refugees. Now we're not gonna be able to build shit as fast. It's a bit of a bummer. Revising the Federative Pact, Brazil has for too long lagged behind, in no small part due to the overly decentralized nature of its state. Other democracies lack the structural weakness Brazil has, and Vargas has tirelessly worked to dismantle the sad status quo and unite Brazil as one country once and for all. Opposition rallies against him, but the move has support from the lower classes, and the pressure is mounting on the aftermath of Black Monday. And as war and tensions rise all over the world, the need for Brazil to be decisive in its actions is evident. Yes, Vargas will increase his political clout. Got church backing. Let's go for this, and let's pick up our mech speed. I think I'm gonna go for we'll go for Amtracs. Rivers are just set. Well, we have an improv expert guy though. I don't know. Go Mech 1 or Mech 2? I could probably, I think I'm gonna go for the Amtracs. I just really like Amtracs. Our finest hour. What a childish fantasy. Formalize state power boundaries. So let's go for our 2 factories. Let's go for the 2 factories, and we'll pick up the industrial company. So actually build a fuel silo. Go for extraction tech. Computing machine, that'd be alright too. I think I'd go for our next Doctrine. Then we can juggle that once we... Well, I probably want to save our XP for variant though. I don't know. These might be get too. They're fast focuses. Got political power and boosts. A Mulher Sem Pecado premieres in Rio. Nelson Rodriguez's new play has been the talk of the Federal District, as per usual, for something as brazenly sarcastic. A tragic comedy of the modern days. As a protagonist, Olegario falls further and further into a spiral of hatred and jealousy towards his wife. Their lives are bit by bit ruined and eroded by that poison. To him, everyone, from the insane beggar down the street to his own brother-in-law, are obvious lovers of his wife, and he is sure she is not faithful and hounds her for it. But in the end, his obsessive behavior ends up making her turn away from him, and she runs off with the chauffeur of the household, leaving Olegario humiliated and alone, mostly due to his own delusions to begin with. A tragic tale. All of Beijing. It was Greece. The Agrarian Revolt. Alright. The research speed would be nice. Pick that up. we might want that for 30. That's only a 35-day focus too. So I think we'll get that, and then maybe want to start coming down in mass assaultry.